DreAllDay.com. You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is the 4 keys to consistency. Before we get into this, I'll remind you all of 2 things. First of all, my text message number down below in the description. All you got to do is scroll down to wherever you are consuming this. You'll see that number. Once we start sending that message out again, you'll be getting it to your phone. Secondly, workonyourgameuniversity.com. That is where I'm doing all my coaching. That is where my focus is. If you have a sales team, if you are in sales, if you're an entrepreneur, if you would like to become an entrepreneur, if you are in business, you want to step up your mindset game, you want to step up your strategy and get a real clear game plan as to what you're doing and how you're going to get there. If you want to improve yourself personally, improve yourself professionally, improve yourself business-wise, you want to do it now rather than later, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. The link is down below in the description to this episode. All that out the way, let's get into the topic here today, which again is the 4 keys to consistency. Now, consistency is a big part of what we talk about over here, even if we don't mention it. We don't always say the word consistency, but I think any of you who's been following my material for any amount of time can see that consistency is a big aspect of my approach. And anyone who is consistent in anything positive that they're doing and they're disciplined and they are reliable and dependable at it, consistency is a big part of that deal. And anything you want to do that you are not yet consistent at, consistency will be a big part of it. So here today, I'm going to give you the 4 basic keys to increasing and maintaining consistency in anything that you wish to do. So any of you who would like to be more consistent in anything, I'm going to give you the 4 things you need in place. You need to check yourself and ask yourself, do you have all 4? You probably don't, which is why you're not consistent. But as soon as you get all 4, the safe will be unlocked. Point number 1. Today's topic, once again, is the 4 keys to consistency. Number 1, you need a reason. Number 1 thing you need to be consistent is a reason. It is said that many people fail not because they don't have the proper resources, but because they do not have strong enough reasons. And I agree with this. So the question is, what is your reason for wanting to fill in the blank? What's your reason for wanting to lose weight? What's your reason for wanting to make more money? What's your reason for wanting to be successful? What is your reason for coming in and looking at these Toyota Camrys that you're thinking about buying? All right, these reasons are usually more emotionally driven than they are logical and rational driven. So the better you can tap into these reasons, which simply requires you asking yourself the question why over and over again until you start getting to emotional answers instead of logical ones. That's how you figure out what your reasons are. The more you'll be able to use the energy behind those emotions, because there's a lot more energy in emotion than there is energy in being logical, analytical, or rational. So the more you're able to tap into the reasons and the energy that comes from those reasons, the more energy you'll have to move yourself to action. So the question will next be, well, what action do I take? I'm glad you asked that. I'm going to answer that in a second. But talking a little bit more on this first point, these reasons are the drivers. So while you are in the emotional management business, this is something I mention often, being in the emotional management business does not mean that your emotions do not matter. It doesn't mean that you should suppress your emotions. It means you should manage them. The way you manage things is not necessarily telling it what to do, but directing and guiding everything or everyone in the direction in which you want them to go. That's the job of the manager. You, being the manager of your own emotions, needs to know, where do I want to send this energy? Where do I want to send this focus? What can I extract from this? And what am I going to use? What am I going to do once I get there? All right, from wherever it is that I'm working on right now. So first thing is, you need the reasons. What are your reasons for wanting to do the thing that you are either actively doing or planning on doing, or you've been thinking about doing, but you never started? When you get to the reason, you're much more likely to get moving than if you keep thinking about the logical, rational explanations of the thing that you want to do. It's better to get a solid emotional reason 10 times more than it is to get a logical, rational reason. There are times for each, but in terms of getting started, in terms of moving yourself to action, and in terms of getting over difficult challenges in the process of anything, the emotion matters a lot more than the logic. point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is the 4 keys to consistency. Number 2, you need structure. The next thing you need after you have gotten clear on your reason to achieve a success is you need a structure, a clear structure for what you're doing. Any structure simply means a process of behavior that you will follow that is, to the best of your understanding and belief, designed to help you achieve your desired outcome. All right, that's a structure. So if I want to lose 10 pounds, then I will get a personal trainer who is going to create a structure. All right, and again, it's a process of behavior that I follow that, to the best of my understanding, is going to help me achieve my outcome. So the good thing about structure is that you don't have to create structure on your own. You can plug into and follow a structure that was already created by somebody else. Again, I just gave you an example. Hire a personal trainer. The trainer isn't figuring out everything on the fly while they're working with you. They probably have already trained other people to lose 10 pounds, or trained other people to run in a marathon, or trained somebody else to get back in shape after age 50. So all they're doing is following the framework and the structure that they've already used in the past, with maybe somebody who is similar to you, or someone in a similar situation, or someone who had a similar desire for an outcome. So it's a structure that is a process of behavior that you will follow that, again, to the best of your understanding and belief, is going to help you achieve your outcome. So just because you hire a trainer doesn't mean you're going to achieve the outcome. You got to actually do the stuff, and your trainer has to actually know their stuff. They got to actually be good. This is the reason why you usually will look around at a few options before you make a decision, and or you already have made a decision to work with or buy or engage with something or someone, and as soon as the situation was right, you were ready to move. You're ready to take action. Some of you listening to this right now have sampled enough of my material that you know you want to have me as your coach and work on your game university. However, at this point, you have not yet made the commitment to actually move yourself to the action of doing it. So let me give you another reminder and an open invitation here. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com so you can learn more about who we work with, who we're working with now, what exactly I'm doing, and how exactly you can take the next step to get involved. So again, this is all about setting yourself up so you don't have to do everything on your own, and plugging into and following a structure that has been created by another person. If you've ever had a job, for example, the job trained you by showing you the structure of how to do the work. Right? Isn't that pretty much how it works? And there may be a few jobs that do some form of that, but even those jobs give you some structure in what you're doing. So when I worked at McDonald's, for example, there was an entire structure, an entire framework of how someone in my position was supposed to behave, what I'm supposed to do, how to make the cheeseburger when it comes out, how to make the Big Mac, how to fry the fish. They taught me all those things because it was part of their structure. Every employee who comes in, we got to teach them the same stuff and teach them the same way so that everyone knows how to get it done. So I'll give you another example. I saw this video on YouTube years ago of this guy who got hired for an outside sales job, and he got sat in front of a phone with no list of people to call. And his assignment was to get some appointments on the schedule for him to sell the product that the company he had been hired for was selling. Now, again, this is all on video. So he's sitting in front of a phone, no list, no people to call, no ease to work. He was told to start making appointments and to start selling the product. That's what he was told. Make some appointments and start selling his product. After a moment of confusion, when the kid first got sat down there, because he knows he's being filmed, after a moment of confusion and not quite sure knowing what to do, he realized he should probably look in his own phone and start calling people who he already knew, which is what he did. The structure of the situation was, number one, he was told to set appointments. So the structure is, here's the outcome that we're measuring. Number two, he had a clear offer of a product. All right, what exactly am I selling? He knew exactly what it was. He knew exactly what it did. And that made it easier for him to make those calls and start saying whatever it is that he said, because they didn't tell him what to say. Say whatever it is that he said to try to get some people on the calendar. So structure and situation was number one. Again, told what to do. Number two, told what the goal is, rather. Number two, he had a product offer. And later on, this company from this video, later on I found out that they did train this guy on how to better set appointments and how to talk about the project that is on, the project that was on the menu in this scene that I'm telling you about. Part of their structure and this example was to find out how much of a self-starter this individual was. I don't think this was just some random thing they came up with as somebody grabbed the phone and started filming. This was on purpose. This company knew exactly what it was doing, and they would have new hires do something like this, because this is a sales company. They would have new hires do something like this because I believe they wanted to find out how much of a self-starter this individual was. How can this person make things happen without, how can this person make things happen if we don't give them any clue or any ideas on what direction to take? And they want to find out as quickly as possible. Is this person a self-starter? Can they get themselves moving to action if necessary? And that's a huge key when it comes to success in life. Can you move yourself to get things done? Not just be consistent like we're talking about here in this series, but just to start and then to complete. So you got 3 pieces: start, consistency, repeat. All right, all 3. So part of their structure, as I said, was I believe this company was just trying to find out how much a self-starter this guy was. Now, I'm not saying everybody should do this, but I am explaining that this still is a form of structure, albeit a loose form of structure. It is a form of structure. So this next thing you're doing, again, this is point number 2, is have a clear structure for what you are doing, where you're going. Have a process that is going to help you achieve your desired outcome. Now, if you don't know your desired outcome, you can't do anything at this point. You got to be clear on that outcome. Moving on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is the 4 keys to consistency. Number 3 is discipline. Now, I know discipline and consistency feel like this; they're the same thing. They are different. They're similar in many ways, but different. Follow any structure for long enough, and discipline becomes your natural byproduct. All right, any structure you follow, you will become disciplined. Discipline simply means following a set of rules and in a consistent and orderly fashion. That's it. Now, since you already have a structure in place, and because you are plugged into that structure and you are following the structure, you are already disciplined without trying to be disciplined. If you've ever been in the military and you did something you weren't supposed to do, you were disciplined without even having to think about whether or not you got away with it, because you were not watching and you were not given a choice other than to follow the rules and the orders presented to you. Then, okay, what are you expecting? In the military, you get disciplined as part of the structure. And again, you don't have options. If you're a child playing on a sports team, actually, let me back up. I went too far. When you are in the military, for example, you're not given options of whether or not you're going to follow the rules and follow the orders. If you played on a sports team, again, the coach provides the structure that the team follows, which makes everybody on the team disciplined, at least within the context of being on the team. So discipline is not something that you really have to think about or try to force feed upon yourself, which is what most people do, and is the reason why most people fail. Most people who try to be disciplined fail at it simply because you go about it the wrong way, such as trying to force yourself to be disciplined. That can work in the short term, meaning for the next hour, you can make yourself disciplined, but it doesn't work in the long term. You're not going to keep that up for a week, a month, or a year. So what you do instead is you get the resources in place such that these disciplines happen naturally. And the biggest resource is the structure. So again, you play on a sports team, coach provides the structure. Everybody's disciplined within the confines of what the team is requiring. So discipline is not something you really have to think about. You don't have to force feed it. You don't have to make yourself do it. But this is what most people try to do, and this is why most people fail. So follow a structure that is already in place, if there is one. Now, if you don't have one, then you will plug into one, and this will take care of both the struggle and the discipline need that I pointed out here at the same time. So you have no more problems. All right, you have no more structure problem. You have no more discipline problem. All you did was plug into a structure that was already in place. You follow the structure, you become disciplined. So they work as a package deal. Anybody who is disciplined, usually there's some structure to what they're doing. You know, anybody who wakes up really early in the morning and starts doing stuff, ask them what is the structure around their morning routine, and I promise you that they have one. Now, they may do a whole lot of things that you don't agree with in the morning, but there is a structure to what they're doing because of the discipline. When you see the discipline, you know there's a structure. When you see no discipline, there is probably no structure. Usually that's the case. All right, that out the way, moving on to point number 4. Today's topic, once again, is the 4 keys to consistency. Number 4, you got to have a routine. What is a routine? First of all, if you're plugged into a structure, which means you will automatically be disciplined, then routine is a natural byproduct of both. Routine is the natural byproduct of having a structure because you follow it often enough, then you get used to it, it becomes routine. And when you're highly disciplined, usually that means you're doing a whole lot of the same things the same way every time, which means that the routine comes naturally out of it. So routine naturally comes out of both of these. So if you pay attention to what we talked about here today, I told you that there are 4 keys to consistency, but there are really only 2 keys. If you have a strong enough reason and you plug into a structure, the discipline and routine automatically happen as a result. So there's really only 2 keys here. Let me say what I just said one more time. So this episode says 4 keys to consistency, but honestly, there are really only 2 keys to consistency. The issue is you got to understand how each piece works together. So if you have a strong enough reason, meaning you have the motivation and you plug into a structure, then discipline and routine automatically happen as a result of what you've been doing. You want to be disciplined, you want to follow routine, all you got to do is look at this group or this person or this team or this country or whoever that is already showing you the consistency. All right, discipline and routine are automatically happening to them because they're always showing up. They're always ready. They're always prepared. They're always thinking ahead. All right, because they plan ahead, then it's easy for them to do their things. Routine is something that someone follows when following the structure and the subsequent discipline become part of your muscle memory. Let me say that one more time, make sure it was clear. Routine is something that a person follows when following the structure and the subsequent discipline that come out of it become part of your muscle memory. All right, that's what routine is about. It's something becoming muscle memory, becoming habit. You don't have to think about it at all, and you just do it, or it just happens. Whichever way makes the most sense for you. Another word. It is easier to keep following what you've been doing than it would be to stop doing it. Can I say that again? It is easier to keep following what you've been doing than it would be to stop doing it and to then do something different. Even if that thing seems to be hard to the outside observer, it's easier to keep it up. It's easier to you because you built up the habit of doing the thing. It's like if you lift heavy weights on a regular basis every time you go to the gym, eventually it becomes routine to lift 250 pounds. When someone else who's never lifted weights at all will look at you and your 250 pound compound lifts and say, well, I can never do that. Well, in the current physical state that they're in, they're right, they could never do it. But if they were to start working with a 50 pound weight and then slowly work their way up, eventually they will be able to do it, and it wouldn't be that small, scrawny person that was telling you that I can never do it when they saw you in the gym lifting weights. So the point here is, the thing that appears hard to the outside observer is easier to you simply because you have built the habit of doing the thing. More often you do it, the easier it becomes. For some of you, it's easier to keep going to the gym and working out every day than it would be to not work out at all. And think of any positive habit that you have that other people would like to have, but they don't yet have. You're going to see this in your own life. What are those things for you? And almost all of you have something that you're routine and disciplined and thusly consistent about or in or for. It doesn't have to be something positive, but we all have things. And the better you can recognize the elements that lead into your current consistencies, your current routines, and your current disciplines, the easier it will be to create your next one, whatever that's going to be. You can do all of this on purpose. That out of the way, let's recap today's class, which is 4 keys to consistency. Consistency, a big part of what we talk about and a big part of what we do here today and every day at Work on Your Game. Number 1, reason. Many people fail not because they don't have the proper resources, because they don't have strong enough reasons. Reasons tend to have emotion in them. Emotion always has energy. Energy is 85% of the job. Point number 2, structure. Next thing you need is a clear structure for what you are doing. When you have a clear structure for what you're doing, the when, where, why, how, and what you're doing is much easier to follow it because all you're doing is reading the map, not writing the map while you're in the process of driving and texting. Number 3, discipline. Follow any structure for long enough and discipline becomes the natural byproduct of that structure. Discipline simply means following a set of rules in a consistent, orderly fashion. Since there is structure in place and you're plugged into and following it, you are disciplined without even trying to be disciplined, which is where you want to be. You want your discipline to just come naturally and flow out of you without yourself trying to make yourself into something that you're not. Number 4, routine. When you are plugged into a structure, you automatically become disciplined, and routine is the natural byproduct of both structure and discipline. So routine kind of just pops out without you even trying. All right, it's kind of like you produce carbon dioxide without even thinking about the fact you're breathing. All that said, ladies and gentlemen, workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to be consistent, you want to follow through, you want to be disciplined, you want to teach these things, you want to learn more about these things, you want to enact them in your own life so you can get more ROI from your own work. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link's down below in the description. That's where you can have me as your direct coach, and we can make it happen sooner rather than later. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all